Hey, 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 this is Coach Kinsey Shae with Bobby Merwin and
Hello,
Gen
I was
X.
just doing the drums.
I know, Gen Xers, the master of the F word. And how, why, and who needs it? Who needs to hear
Who
it?
needs it? Who needs the F word?
I know.
I don't know about you, but I say the F word many, many times a day, both in its four-letter form and its other form that we're going to talk about today.
Yes, yes. So stay tuned. We're going to get into the F word. But before we get into the F word, I think it's really important to really understand the how. Independent and resilient. I think one is we're
Thank you.
adaptable, but we learned how to be that way, So
Oh
we
yeah.
lived through the analog to all the dot coms and all of that. And
Hmm.
we were left alone quite often.
Oh
So
yeah.
I,
Latchkey kids called it.
yeah, yeah, very much
Yeah.
latchkey. We didn't have the only structure we had is chores, the street light. That was our structure. But what we did in
Yeah.
the middle, I mean, that made us independent. If we got bruised, if we got scraped, it was
Yep.
up to us to figure it out, or a nice neighbor that saw it.
Sure. And to add something to that, I don't know about you, but by the time I was probably 10, I was wearing a watch. I had to wear a watch because I
Yeah.
had to know when 2 hours went by that I needed to check in. And,
Oh, I
kids
didn't
who
have
roams
that.
at the house, they just wanted to know that we were alive. That's all it was. And, it took us forever to figure that out. It was like, oh, I got to go check in. So you ride home. Hi, Mom. I was just over at David's. Okay, have a good time. Thank you. And then you go back out.
Right.
I
Right.
was
I
wearing a
didn't
watch
have
at
that. My
10.
parents were. My parents
You
just were
didn't have
like,
to.
see ya. Yep. See ya.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
So, another reason why, we mastered the F word is, we lived through some dark times. I mean, we had the Challenger that blew up, and then we just had to
Hmm.
pretend like, okay, next subject type of thing. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a
Yep.
lot of, there was like Waco, Texas, that whole
Oh,
mass
jeez.
suicide. There was
God, do you
another
have to
one
bring
that's
everything up? Oh my God, this
I
is terrible.
know. There was the one that start with an L. There was another suicide thing. Then Kurt Cobain, he committed suicide. I mean, then the .com, the 9/11, the Desert Storm. I mean, the AIDS epidemic, the Black
Yeah.
Monday with the stock market. I mean, I'm just listing
Hmm.
these off my head, my friends. Like,
That's off your head. That's off your head.
yeah,
Oh, I don't want to be there. Oh my. I just you were saying these things, and I'm like, and they weren't even in chronological order, and I'm like, she's
no,
reading a list. That's not a good list, but you're just doing this
no.
off the top of your head. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I mean
Gosh.
like the OJ, White
Hmm.
Bronco.
The Exxon Valdez. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that on the news for a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were taking all this in.
Hmm.
And there really wasn't any discussion. It was just, this is life.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives us that thing to like, a point number 3 is why how we are the way we are is live and let live. Like if it didn't, if we, it was just like we just process stuff. If it didn't
Hmm.
really affect us, we let it go. We were very much in a critical thinking. We are just like, oh, it works for them. It
Hmm.
doesn't bother me, or this is happening, but it's not in my circle.
Sure.
You
So
know
what
what
I'm
I
hearing
mean?
is, so what I'm hearing is, we didn't stick our nose into shit.
No.
We just like let it go. It's just that's what's happening over there. Cool. I'm going this way.
Yep.
Yep. I
Yep.
would agree with that.
Yep. And I think that we also, we learned from it, like lessons from it. Like we actually internalized it quite a bit, but
Yeah.
we didn't talk about it, which, kind of gave us that independence and resilience that we're so much known for as the Gen Xers, where we kind of mastered that F word. And stick. We're gonna say what the F word is. So, so
Yeah.
Point number 4. Just we're used to emotional distance. Like, we aren't the dopamine driven of likes. We don't need constant attention. We actually kind of prefer not to be micromanaged, and we kind of have a thing with authority and being told what to do.
Nobody that knows me at all would think that in the least.
Yeah.
What is the top 10 lie I've just ever told in my life? Oh
I
my
know. I know.
God. Authority. Ugh.
So what are your thoughts on like emotional distance? Like what Gen X in relation to that?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, Gen X is too removed from the silent generation. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the silent generation is called that because, check it out, they were silent. They didn't share their emotions or their feelings. Now we've gone from the silent generation to what's in between the silent generation and Gen X? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Boomers.
Boomers, thank you. Okay, so you
Yeah.
go from the silent generation to the boomers. That's kind of, dragging along. And then you go to the Gen X, dragging along. But it's now starting to wane a lot.
Yeah.
So we're kind of the last of it, because
Mm-hmm.
once you get past that, now it's almost hyper-focused and whipped around the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why you and I have jobs, because I have tons of people that want to talk about their problems. I don't
Right.
think that my job would have been more than what Bob Newhart had in the 70s. I'm dating myself terribly, but there wasn't that many counselors and psychiatrists and psychologists at that time. Now the
Right.
number of us is just huge, and there's a desperate need. I mean, heck, I get
Right.
recruited weekly
Right.
by different companies wanting my services. So there's
Right.
just not enough of us.
No, there's not.
So yeah, we definitely were drug along by two different generations that went from really silent to kind of silent, and we just stayed in that little vestibule right there because we found it comfortable, because it's easier not to talk than it is to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say I would kind of expand upon that. Like our grandparents they grew up in the Depression, so they were very save everything, be frugal. And, we kind of joked about it as Gen Xers when we're like, oh my God, they're just cheap, they're whatever.
Yeah.
So other generations take stock of that, because we did that too. Like, no, it doesn't make you special that you're, compares, that you're like saying Gen X, whatever, whatever. We did that to our grandparents or parents, where we're just like, they just don't understand. It doesn't make you special or different.
Yeah.
And it's okay that you feel that way, because you're in that growth cycle. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Mhm.
But this
Yes.
is awareness.
Yes. Awareness, growth cycle. Yes. And I mean, I don't know when your parents were born, but my parents were born in like 38 and 39. So
Yeah.
they lived, physically were alive during the war, but they they didn't have any part of it. They weren't financially responsible. But yet that still kind of went through them as adults. I mean, I was just making a
Mm-hmm.
joke with another person that's Gen X the other day about how I must have had at least 6 golden soft margarine tubs in my fridge at all times as a kid. And you
Mm-hmm.
never knew what was in there, but we saved the tubs because we didn't want to buy Tupperware.
Correct.
So we just reuse those tubs over and over and over again, to the point where the red writing isn't even on them anymore. I mean, they're so haggard.
Right. Yeah, that's
But
very true.
waste not, want not, right? I mean,
Or
it's a good value, but still.
it is. And I mean, even like with your grandparents, like my grandparents, they always gave like underwear, they gave socks, like they gave practical stuff. You know what I mean? It
Oh yeah.
wasn't,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so we went through the independence and resilience, living through the dark times, live and let
Hmm.
live attitude, and used to emotional distance. Now, we're very pragmatic. We're a very much a drama free type of people. Like, if there's drama and it doesn't pertain to us, we're like deuces. Like, we're out of here. Like,
Yeah.
you do you. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes. And I think that's probably what helps me as a clinician, actually, is that I'm Gen X. Because when I hear the drama elevate in the person, I try and disperse that and grab a piece of it and go, hold on, let's take this part of it and take a look at it and just leave that other part to the side so that we can work through this. Because
right,
they elevate and they grab six things at once and now they're just juggling. And you're like, whoa,
right,
whoa, whoa, circus bear, calm down.
right, right.
Let's get this mopped up a little bit here.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, just being pragmatic, we critically thought about a lot of things. We've reflected on a lot of things because we didn't have a lot of distractions in our early years. I mean, we had to make up our own everything.
Yeah.
So in that, we just became more attuned to our critical thinking. And I think
Hmm.
that helped us master the F word, you know?
Hmm.
So now that we like kind of discuss, oh, I forgot one other event on the
Okay.
how is we kind of lived through the Cold War. We lived through, the Berlin Wall coming
Hmm.
down. I mean, the .com bubble, the
Hmm.
2008 recession. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that happen. So, the F word is forgiveness. The definition, it can be defined in a lot of different ways, but it is a process to heal and
Hmm.
an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. So forgiveness is very key in, and I think we've mastered it because we were pragmatic. We were critical thinking, and what didn't serve us, we let it go. We learned to let shit go. I mean, when the Challenger exploded,
Hmm.
um, we didn't discuss it. We were very detached from it.
No, we didn't
Nobody,
discuss it.
yeah, yeah. So forgiveness, I mean, everybody, and I really want you to listen because there is an art to it. And forgiveness is used a lot on social media. And it's work, my friends. It takes you a while not to um, be able to do this process. It's a process to heal. Give
Hmm.
yourself permission to be vulnerable. Give yourself permission to get messy. I mean, you're going to be you I mean, when you're organizing your house, it gets super messy. And
Yes.
then you start organizing it, you start working through it. That's the same with forgiveness.
Yes, and you
And
have to
it
push through. That's the
yeah,
thing, because you get 30 minutes into cleaning the house, and then you look around and you go, wow, this looks like shit. And it
right.
almost upsets you. And they're like, no, 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 no. This is the process. Push
Right.
through. Push
Yep.
through.
Yep.
Hmm.
And I just want to press upon it's an intentional decision. I mean, it's an intention to be aware. It's an intention to really care and connect. I mean, it's a connection to set your biases and your perspective to the side and really understand other people's point of view.
Hmm.
And so you might be like, what is the key to forgiveness? The key to mastering the F word, aka forgiveness, is empathy. The ability to understand and share feelings of another. It's perspective, my friends. It's perspective. It's key to mastering it is understanding empathy. That means getting out of your own shit and understanding other people's shit. It's
I think you
perspective.
talked about empathy.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the
I want
key
to point
to.
I want to point something out before we go to this slide. You said something about vulnerability earlier.
Yep.
To be able to forgive, you have to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to accept, you have to be
Vulnerable.
vulnerable. And to be able to move on from judgment, you have to be vulnerable. And those are three key things. I mean, I run my whole practice off of acceptance and forgiveness.
Yep. Me too.
So the way to that is not overthinking, it's just opening up and being vulnerable and going, okay, what can I do with these two tools to make this better? And I
Right.
use the word tools on purpose because
Yep.
we need tools to create things. You need tools to build a house. So you need tools to work on the inside of you so that you can be the best you
Right.
can be.
Exactly.
So
So,
empathy, sorry, continue.
no, you're fine. I mean, like, empathy, you might be like, okay, empathy, I've heard that word a lot. What the hell does that mean? You gave me a
I don't know.
definition, you know, but like, how can I attain it? How can I, facilitate this so I can heal? How can I, do this to be vulnerable with myself and others? I like to, it's as easy as ABCs. There's 3 A's and there's 3 C's. So, you know, we've talked about it. Awareness is the first A. Um,
Awareness.
the second A is agenda. Set your shit aside. Your agenda. Set it aside. Your
Set your
biases,
agenda
whatever.
aside. Be aware. Set your agenda aside. Third
Yep.
A.
And then action. That means actively listening, actively being present. And that goes into the B part. Be present.
I thought there wasn't a B part. I thought there was just an A and a C, but okay. I was going to throw
Yeah.
Bobby in there, but whatever.
No, I
Be
know.
present.
And then there's 3 C's, like actually give a shit, care. That's the first C, care. That's part of
Mm-hmm.
empathy. And then connect, truly connect, have eye contact, lean in a
Mm-hmm.
little bit,
Mm-hmm.
have some micro, responses, not just be
Mm-hmm.
stoic when people are talking to you. Be actively engaged to connect. And that goes into communication. Communication is the third C. And this isn't a compare zone where you're like, well, this happened to me. Because when you're.
Oh, sorry. Did I react there? Oh my God! All I can just think of
No,
is like
you should
anytime I
feel that.
scroll 3 times on Facebook, I'm like, oh God, stop comparing yourself.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I mean, that could actually, well, that could be the deed. Don't don't compare. I don't know.
And the
I'm
D
kind
is
of,
don't do this shit. Right. I
yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Yes.
So,
So
I mean,
maybe
go ahead.
can we take a moment because I want to make sure that people understand the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Yes.
Because some people truly don't, and it's not their fault. They just don't have to live in that world. So empathy with an E is when you actually can see what's going on with the person, but yet it's not clogging and hurting your heart. And you're not
Mm-hmm.
overthinking about it, but you are empathetic to their situation and want to be helpful. Sympathy is where you hear what the person is saying and you start crying along with them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a horrible term called sympathetic vomiter, where if somebody
Yeah.
sees somebody get sick, they get sick. That is sympathy. You are
Yep.
going along and having the feeling with the person. You are a sympathetic vomiter.
Right.
Empathy is hearing the person. Going back to hearing, we'll go to active listening. What is active listening? That's where you're taking the person in and actually listening to them without interrupting them and waiting for something beyond a pregnant pause to be able to interject or asking if you can interject and say, can I say something here? Because you're really taking in everything that they need to say because they need to get it out.
Yep.
And then you'll know when there's a time to say, okay, can I add to that, please? And I mean, that's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So I
And I mean,
have to
if it's,
actively listen.
I mean, even when it's like with friends and family, you're going through it, you can energetically show care by just saying, "Can I give you a hug?"
Right on.
It doesn't, when I say action, it doesn't mean you have to fix it. This isn't a fix it activity. This is, this is a release, letting
Hmm.
go, and
Hmm.
understanding somebody else's perspective. This is what this is. It's an all part of being, aware, not having your own agenda of what I have to do to be right, or this is my perspective, you have to see it my way, and, just not being in action when you're communicating, when you're listening, really have that ebb and flow. And I like to think of it as be curious like a child. Like if there's something you don't understand, ask questions. You
Yeah.
know? It's that simple. Like I get A to C, but I don't understand B. Can you help me understand your perspective? I'm really
Hmm.
trying to understand. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean that you have to understand everything they're saying, but
Right.
have awareness that you might have biases based on, the way you were brought up, your
Yeah.
generation. And I really just wanted to talk about this because I think we're in a season in this time and space, where there isn't a lot of active listening. There is a time and space where we're comparing one group to the other group and demifying the other. And I think, as being, a leader, and I think that it's important to discuss the importance of you don't have to react to everything. You can have that pragmatic kind of discernment so
Hmm.
that, yeah, I mean, everything you say doesn't have to be liked. Everything you say doesn't have to have umpteen billion. Like if you're posting stuff or you're saying stuff to just to get attention, that is feeding your dopamine and your ego. I mean,
That, that is it. You are right. Yes.
so I think this is for, whether you're a millennial or a Z, you know, learn from us because we learned from our parents. We learned very much.
Yeah.
They were doing the best that they could. We were
They
in
were.
we were the first real generation where divorce was, and a lot, and women were going to work more, and there wasn't um, people there, like programs after school to take care of the kids. But with the Black Monday with the money was tight. So they did what they had to do. So
Hmm.
we had to master the F word, forgiveness, because we knew that they didn't do it out of ill will, that they hated us. So I guess this is just a pure invitation, um, you know, and take it from a generation a little bit older than you, that forgiveness is the key to just release and healing and, getting out of the clickbait mentality.
Hmm. Oh, it so is, and I'd like to second you on that because once you can figure out another F word, figure out the simplicity and the beauty of forgiveness, it will start to nurture you naturally.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there's that.
And there might be some of you like, I can't forgive because they don't live anymore. I can't forgive whoever, whatever.
Hmm.
But forgiveness is not for the other person.
Oh, it's for you.
Forgiveness, it is for
Yep,
you.
it is
Give
for
yourself
you.
permission
Hmm.
because
Yes.
it's just an albatross around your neck and it's weighing you down. And that energy will affect, it's like watercoloring. It will spill into every other color of your life, every area
Mm-hmm.
of your life. The resentment, if you have like an abusive father, and you hold on to that anger and resentment, the statistics are there. If you don't deal with that shit and forgive, it will bleed into your kids, and you
Your kids,
might
yes.
turn, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a gift to yourself so that you don't repeat the cycle.
Correct. When I was working in the grade schools, my doctoral professor used to say to me, there are not bad kids, only bad parents. And this was like
Mm-hmm.
before the age of 10, when kids don't
Right.
really have I don't want to say that a soul that's not formed. I think you understand what I'm saying, though. They don't know who they are. They don't have quite an identity.
Right.
So they're reacting from things that are happening at home or in their lives or at
Right.
grandma's or whatever. And you're a direct effect of that. So if you
Right.
can fix your shit and let things go and
Yeah.
forgive and have acceptance of what did happen and then forgive it,
Boom.
like mind yoga, baby.
I know. I know. And this builds resilience, and
Hmm.
adaptability. So, I mean, our generation wasn't perfect, just like any other generation isn't perfect. But if we can all learn lessons from each generation and be,
Hmm.
forgive and have the key, of empathy, it would make this world such a better place. Getting out
Hmm.
of that cycle of likes and I don't like you because you believe this. I mean, there was a time when we were younger where you disagreed with somebody at work, but you were going to go have a beer or whatever after work because
Yes,
it didn't.
afterwards, yeah. Yeah,
And I miss those days.
you could
Yeah.
get over your own shit. And I'm not sure if Gen X wasn't perfect because I had a mullet, I had parachute pants, and I had a Loverboy tape. So I think it was perfection, actually. Yeah.
I know. I
Yeah.
had I
Parachute
had the
pants. God.
flame.
Oh, God, parachute pants. I mean, please. And some of the
Leg
colors that we would wear.
warmers. Oh
Oh, the
my
colors that
god.
we would wear. I remember a Nike sweatshirt that I had. Oh, it's just the worst colors in the world when I look at it right now. But I'm thinking I loved that thing when I was in the
I
80s. I
did
think it's so
too.
awesome.
I mean, wearing hot
Ah,
pink, blues, greens, big old,
hypercolors.
like,
Remember hypercolors?
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, geez. I wish they'd bring those back. Actually, no, I
I
don't.
know.
Actually, I don't because they'd only be hypercolored like right around my heater. We're just like, wow, he's really warm right there. Well, yeah, it's because I've kind of got dad bod.
So I hope that, that there's awareness of why Gen Xers the master of the F word and how, why, who needs to hear it.
Yep.
I think the world would be a better place if we embraced forgiveness and we
Oh,
unlocked that door, that
hmm.
F door with
Well said.
empathy.
Get the F and key and unlock the door.
Yeah, get the effing key.
Yep. Good. We did good on time. Yay, we did it again. We're
Yeah.
so good.
I know
Man.
it. I know it. And if you, we talked a lot about forgiveness and some tools last week. I'll put up a little link where you can click that to watch that if you want to kind of go into learn a couple tools that you can do.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
like,
do it.
subscribe, do all that fun jazz. And we appreciate you. We love you. And I hope you feel our hearts in these podcasts.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
yeah, yeah, because we care. And
Hmm.
we're getting in action and we just want to create impact. So if anything, and another thing, if you are, if write down in the comments like what you remember, like what stuck with
Hmm.
you, what made you, resilient, what made you adaptable, what made you,
Hmm.
let live, kind of attitude, that pragmatic attitude. I think it,
Yeah.
as a community, if we can see like other people's perspectives, that's a pathway to understanding empathy, because
Hmm.
you're going to be reading a lot of people's stuff that they went through.
Yep. Write
Yep.
down, something that did something for you in, in what we talked about. If it, resonated with you, if it made you feel something, put that down. So, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully, I'll be back in my studio instead of at my other office, and
Yep.
we'll go from there. I'll have a better
Yep.
microphone, I promise. This microphone's terrible.
All right. We will see you guys.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.